No, it's slightly lighter.
This right here would be the right hemisphere and this would be the left hemisphere. Over here would be the cerebrum and pointing towards here, and then the cerebellum would be towards the bottom pointing over here. The midbrain would be this section right here, and that would be all. Yeah, that would be all. For this part, it would be the gray matter, and the function of the gray matter would be to process information, having memory and emotions using neuron cell bodies. And while the white matter over here, it would be consisting of mainly accents and to transmit signals between the brain regions.
Right here, this is the diencephalon located deep in the center of the brain, right above the brainstem. It sits between the cerebrum and the brainstem. Below that, over here is the pons, the rounded bulge in the middle of the brainstem, just under the midbrain. And finally is the medulla oblongata, located at the very bottom of the brainstem, where it connects to the spinal cord. This groove here is the central sulcus, located roughly in the middle of the brain. It runs from the top of the brain down to the side and separates the frontal and parietal lobes. This here is the lateral sulcus, found on the side of the brain. It runs horizontally and separates the temporal lobe and the lobes above it. Lastly is the parietal occipital sulcus, located over here towards the back of the brain, and it separates the parietal lobe from the occipital lobe.
This, well, is where the optic nerve would be, located at the front underside of the brain. So right around here, the optic nerve would run around here where it would connect to your eye. The optic chiasm found just below the brain near the center, which would be right here, where the optic nerve crosses. Now on the left side of the brain, which is the Wernicke's area, located on the temporal lobe toward the back, it helps with understanding language. Finally, the Broca's area, found in the frontal lobe on the left side, usually near the lower front area, it controls speech production.
The main difference between the gray matter and the white matter is that the white matter is what they actually do in the brain. The gray matter is where most of the thinking and processing happens because it's made up of neuron cell bodies and connections. This is the part that helps with things like memory, decision making, and understanding information. White matter, on the other hand, is made up of axons, which are long wires that connect different parts of the brain. These axons are covered in myelin, which helps signals travel faster. So basically, gray matter is for the thinking and processing, while white matter is sending messages around the brain. You need both because your brain wouldn't work properly if it couldn't process information or communicate between different areas.
The way gray and white matter are arranged in the brain is actually the opposite of how they're arranged in the spinal cord. In the brain, the gray matter is mostly on the outside, called the cortex, and that's where most of your thinking, decision-making, and processing happens. Under that is the white matter, which helps different parts of the brain communicate with each other really quickly. In the spinal cord, though, it's flipped. Gray matter is in the center in a butterfly-shaped pattern, and the white matter is on the outside. The white matter in the spinal cord is mainly responsible for sending signals up to the brain and back down to the rest of the body, like when you move or feel something. The gray matter in the center handles more basic functions, especially reflexes, like when you instantly pull your hand away from something hot. So overall, the brain has more gray matter because it deals with more complex tasks, while the spinal cord is more focused on fast communication and simple automatic responses.
When looking at the meninges during a dissection, you can usually see at least two of the layers pretty clearly. The first one is dura mater, which is the outmost layer. It feels really thick, tough, and kind of leathery. Like it's seriously there to protect the brain from injury. It doesn't tear easily and it feels more solid compared to the other layers. Under that is the arachnoid matter, which is thinner and more delicate. It has a web-like appearance, kind of like a thin plastic wrap or a spider web stretched over the brain. It can feel slippery, and also there's also a space of cerebral spinal fluid, which is found with the brain that helps cushion the brain. The function of these layers is mainly protection and support. They keep the brain in place, protect it from damage, and also help with the flow of cerebral spinal fluid, which acts like a shock absorber. The third layer, called the pinna mater, is really thin and stuck directly to the surface of the brain. It follows all the folds and grooves, which makes it really hard to see or move during the dissection. This is why you usually don't notice it as much. Even though it's hard to see, it's really important because it helps supply blood to the brain and adds a layer of protection.